I mean, there's a couple things, I can unpack there. I mean, from a minority community standpoint, I feel like there's so many of us trying to get out of survival mode that we don't thrive, so we don't get to embrace joy. I think the other piece of it is that when you become an entrepreneur and you're chasing success, you think the success and the money is also going to bring you joy in a different regard, and that doesn't either.
Welcome to the Mindfulness Experience podcast. I'm your host, Keith Fifeson. We're at the CWCB Expo, and I am really excited. Today, I have a remarkable guest who is breaking barriers and making waves in the world of wellness and cannabis. She is a leader, and she is joining us, Dr. Alyza Beast Brevard-Rodriguez. And I really want to say hello, Alyza, and welcome to the Mindfulness Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really very excited to have you here. And you've got a really interesting background. You're a very interesting person. And I really am wondering, when you look at, can you share with our listeners, you've got an incredible story to tell. And there's a lot of transformation happening, continuing to happen, not only in this industry, but also in the world that you are in. I'm wondering about your journey. Can you share a little bit about your journey and really what brought you into the world of cannabis?
Absolutely. So I started off in the space of government and military. I spent 10 years in the service. My last tour during COVID, which was 2020, I think we were all having a challenging time, but in the military experiencing the same thing, right? A shortage of troops, people getting sick. So I was actively working here in the city for the MTA and the Transportation Agency, writing policy, and they gave me a call and said, we need you to help out during COVID. So I was a military police officer. I went and conducted that mission during COVID, and I was injured on that last tour. That was my second combat tour, and was medevaced, and the VA was a little bit more generous with opioids than comfortable. And I started to, go on a different sort of journey where, I was mourning, dealing with the ending of my career, but then also this challenge with opioids and the pain that I was enduring for my injury. So I reconnected with cannabis, and it started to solve so many problems, not only from an injury perspective, but I started to go on a healing journey internally and spiritually that I didn't realize that I really needed to, and that sort of ignited me in that direction. And then New Jersey went recreational adult use, and I already owned a wellness facility, and it just made so much sense to enter on the other side, and that's how we started the brand, The Other Side Dispensary.
That's wonderful. So the Other Side Dispensary, as well as, is it your sweet or sweat wellness? Sweat wellness, I love it. Okay, so we got sweat wellness, and your vision. I like the story that you're talking about, because what a lot of people don't realize is they look at cannabis as a sort of a, let's chill, and there is that aspect of, chilling and just having a recreational time, but there really is, as per your story, there's this endocannabinoid system. There is the ability to go ahead and make us feel right, and I'm wondering your vision for the other side as well as for sweat, and I've read a little bit about it. I think it's very interesting. Can you talk to that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So Sweat is a wellness facility that is completely non-related to cannabis. It is, we have yoga, meditation, a salt cave, infrared sauna, massage therapy, all the ways that you need to heal without the infusion of cannabis. However, when you go over to the other side, which is also why we branded it that way, you can have your alternative solutions. And that's really what I want to bring to the forefront. My whole healing journey, even before that last tour and having my run-in with opioids and that whole revelation, I had already owned sweat. I was already connected to wellness and was a way that I was making it through a space that wasn't inherently true to me. You know, I went to the military as a form of getting out of survival mode and, you know, really taking control of my life. And I used all the tools and the resources that they gave me, but it was sometimes an uncomfortable space to be in. You know, I'm a woman, LGBTQ, minority community as a military police officer. So there were a lot of challenging experiences there and wellness and spin and just so many different avenues that I used to keep my sanity. When I then connected with cannabis, it just made sense to have this all-encompassing really company that brought to fruition for people that need weed, that don't need weed, however you need to heal, and that's our slogan, is do good, get high, be well. However that is in that form or fashion, we just want there to be decent humans. And I think inherently it's really hard for us to do that because even though we're doing it recreationally, all of us are looking, when we consume in some fashion, we're all looking to heal something, whether that's just to lower our anxiety, to chill, like you said, like we're just like having a chill session, but we wanna lower and vibe and reduce our anxiety. We're all patients in some capacity. So that's really what I want to bring to the forefront.
Yeah, and I really love, this is the Mindfulness Experience podcast. So when I hear the integration of sweat and I understand, the balance there, we're thinking about, there's 5 areas internally that we have to heal: our mind, our body, our spirit, which is really the breath. The root word of breath is spear, as in spirit. Whatever we breathe life into, that kind of a thing. The food, what we put in our body, and then sleep. And then the other 3 are external: the relationships, the environment, and their aspirations. What I love about the other side as well is you're really creating a community here where people can connect with each other and normalize their crazy. They normalize their crazy, and we're all interconnected. We all have a story. We all come from some kind of a background. And I was really intrigued with your, I know how difficult it must have been as a military vet myself, in challenging being a woman and being LGBTQ and being, involved in the military police as well. That's big. But yet I saw your recent Instagram, and you have a wonderful looking family today. And there was something you said on the Instagram that really hit my heart, which was really about this is really where it was something like this is really where the juice is. This is really where the love is. Would you mind talking to that a little bit in terms of like where your journey has been, and you've talked to that, where you are now and where you see the vision going maybe a little bit more, and bringing your family along perhaps?
Yeah, of course. You see me smile so bright because that's really all of my joy. Which I think, there's a couple things, I can unpack there. From a minority community standpoint, I feel like there's so many of us trying to get out of survival mode that we don't thrive, so we don't get to embrace joy. I think the other piece of it is that when you become an entrepreneur and you're chasing success, you think the success and the money is also going to bring you joy in a different regard, and that doesn't either. So I think that is one piece that the universe knew that I needed to keep grounded to excel on this mission. Because without that grounding factor, and we all need something, right? That's why spirituality is important, religion is important. There has to be some faith or something that grounds you, your family, whatever it is. And for me, my wife, today's actually our anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes.
My anniversary this last week.
Really? Oh, congrats. How many years?
27 years this time.
You're amazing.
We both were married twice before.
Okay. Wow. In 20, that's amazing.
We got lucky.
I love that. I love love. I do, because I feel like that's the healer. I am so much of a better person because my wife keeps me grounded. She's someone that I trust, that I know loves me for me at the core, and then I have these beautiful kids and this family that we created.
I love it. And Now tell me, I saw something on Netflix. You do some acting too, yes?
That's just some fun stuff. When you're formally, a lot of those shows that have cops and stuff, I was, obviously in the service, so they hire us as special abilities actors to make sure that the cop scenes and the military scenes actually look very realistic. But I mostly got into that space because of my daughter. I got her into working and, doing like Carters and modeling because my wife and I have a beautiful family, and they are what is really driving this mission. I hope that one of my kids takes the business or even just takes the creativity that I have in me and wants to create in the world, because that's what we are. We're just creative beings, and we need to be able to have the freedom to do that.
That's such a wonderful, poignant aspect of, you get all the cash and prizes, but if you don't have love, then what good is it? You can be lonely and pretty negative individual, right? So one of the other things that intrigued me about you and your profile was you're a doctor, you're a professor of cannabis studies, and I'm wondering about your view of the CB1, CB2 receptors. And most people don't really dive into the endocannabinoid system. They don't dive into the whole area of wellness and what happens there. Can you maybe, you don't have to dive into the endocannabinoid system, but dive into the sort of the work that you're doing as a professor and where you see the future of cannabis education taking us, because I mentioned the endocannabinoid system. Most people go, what? They have no idea what that is. So I'm wondering if you can maybe elaborate on that a little bit and drop some knowledge. Yeah.
Got it. All right, so I don't want to get into a lecture here, but the ECS system, the endocannabinoid system, right? It's just another system that we have in our body, just like we have a skeletal system, we have the muscular system. There's another system that people don't know about, and it was found most recently within the last maybe 30 or 40 years that there started to be more research on it. But the reality is that our body is calling for this. This is how we regulate. This is how we reach that that balance that we need, right? So ultimately, the reason why I got involved in teaching in this capacity, a lot of things when I talk about going to the other side. So when I was in the military, I was an instructor. That was one of the jobs that I had. You be in the Army, they make us do all these jobs. So I was an instructor, and I didn't have teaching experience in academia, but I taught a bunch of soldiers and sailors before. So when I got into, I saw in the space, my wife is in academia. So I saw that there was a gap there. I'm like, there's not enough faculty, there's not enough people that are speaking about cannabis education, explaining to them the science behind it. That's what's gonna really normalize this. So for me, I think education is the key. I think it is the solution in many regards. When we talk about research, that's the key. When we talk about rescheduling, that's the key. When we talk about social equity, it goes back to education. We talk about the community, it goes back to education. Everything can circle back to education. The whole propaganda and war on drugs was simply misinformation. So it goes to show you that when we have an educated consumer and we have an educated population, we can transform so many spaces, and I just try to contribute in that regard as much as possible.
I absolutely love that, and we need more education. We really need to be looking at, in my view, endocannabinoid deficiencies, because I think a lot of people are out of alignment. Specifically, they're not interconnected in their body, and one of the wonderful things about cannabis is it really does help you to get insight. It really does help you to check in to see what condition your condition is in. It really does give you some pause to kind of say, hey, what's going on for me, and how can I go ahead and look at life a little bit differently,
A lot of people lack that self-awareness and that ability to sort of have that out-of-body experience, zoom out from situations and watch yourself. And I know to some people that sounds crazy, but that is how you're aware of yourself, other people's energy, how those frequencies are driving, and being able to understand yourself better. Self-awareness is really something that I hope that more people start to, well, I know we talk about the psychedelics, that we could really get people to get aligned with where they need to be, right?
Absolutely, and I really do think there's an opportunity to normalize this and really use it in a very constructive way rather than in a way that really kind of looks at, I mean, as they say, I think it was Pericles who said, the medicine is in the dose. The dose is the poison. The dose determines the poison. So you can, if we looked at the DEA rescheduling today of alcohol versus cannabis, I don't think alcohol would pass the litmus test. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I'm wondering a couple of last questions for you. Okay. Your name, you're using the name Dr. Beast. All right, so can you tell me a little bit about the story behind that and how you got that name? Because it's great, I love it, and it's memorable, and it sounds like you've earned it. So I want to hear about it.
Well, thank you. I definitely earned it on the educational side because I have a doctorate. My doctorate is in policy management and leadership. So I try to, put myself forth and offer as much value that I can as a thought leader in those spaces, but really connecting that wellness aspect. I think people take the doctor and automatically think people are a physician. So I have a doctorate in leadership, but ultimately I am a healer. I feel like the tools that I have and the journey that I've been on is to offer people other perspectives, to see that they can do it, inspiration, and that is very healing to people. So between the two of those and the Beast is just, well, ironically, it's been a nickname since I was very, very young. So I've actually never shared that story. A lot of people don't know that. It was my AIM name. So back when AOL had AIM and then the BlackBerry, I'm dating myself, right? No, I'm looking at him. I'm like, he's like, what's an AIM? So that was like an Instagram now. That was the handle name. And I think that was an early manifestation. And let me tell you, I used to have a beef with the word manifestation because a lot of people think that you can just do that and not the work. But I do think that was universally, it was just instilled in me early. And from there, I just sort of was very relentless with everything that I did to get out of my situation as fast as I could using a traditional path. So, I didn't get TikTok famous, but like going to the military, going to school, checking all the boxes and doing the work. And by doing that, I was able to get experience in so many areas. So when I come to environments like this, people do say, you're a jack of all trades, you do a lot of things, but I'm like, but I've actually done the things. I work in construction, I actually can tell you what this thing is. I know it, I can see walls that are open. Like those experiences allowed me to just sort of become a beast. And now I can, navigate in most arenas.
Well, I think that's wonderful because that really allows you to be present to what other people might be afraid of. And, that term beast, a lot of people get kind of like, oh, what's that? I think there's a Mr. Beast. I'm not sure right? There's a Mr. Beast. So, but you've got so many accolades. I wanted to ask you about your background with that. So you've got numerous awards, numerous accolades, right? We talk about all the things that you've done and all of the projects that you're involved with sweat wellness, with the other side Dispensary, with the acting, with the teaching, and I'm just wondering, how do you balance being a visionary leader as you are? How do you balance that with staying grounded to your true mission? And maybe you can talk a little bit about what that means in terms of your North Star, the things that you wake up and you kind of go, oh, that's why I'm here, or maybe you're always asking that question and changing direction like a GPS. If the traffic's a little too heavy, you go the other way, which is fine. But maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
So I like to always offer two perspectives. We spoke off camera about me being an Aquarius, right? And the nuance that we are, air, aqua, people don't know. I have a lot of it in my chart. And I know you probably know what that means, but everybody here doesn't know. But
Charts, yeah.
do,
So, yeah. So you'll
oh, we gotta, yeah.
20-page chart.
Oh, you see how excited I got? He's talking about the chart. I have a lot of Aquarius in my chart, and I just think that it is part of my life's purpose to heal in this way. And I appreciate all of it. A lot of times it's validation, and I think our ego, everyone enjoys that, but the reality is that it's just noise. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't help solve any of the real problems. And I think as a person who can pull back from situations, that's often what I see. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that go over, well, you get this award for this and you get that. But then when I go to the community, right, the community didn't vote for that. The community doesn't know that. The community's not resonating with that. You still got to show up. So I think that, outside of my family being my ground, like they ground me, but understanding that the actual accomplishments that I want to succeed in, which is closing the wealth gap for Black and brown people and making sure we have more wealth, that's going to really solve real problems, right? That's going to make sure that our kids don't have to feel like they're not joining the military for patriotism, which I support, but because of need or because they feel like they have no other option. I want our next generation to feel like they have options, like they can be free, that they can follow in the path of things that speak to them and feel good to them. So understanding that that's my true mission and the things that I haven't really touched enough people, I'm not saying that I don't have gratitude for those things, and those are moments that just are a reminder that other people see you, but ultimately I still have more service to do.
Absolutely wonderful. I love the vision. I actually, as you were speaking, I kind of had the vision of, like just being up on a hill somewhere and feeling the breeze coming through and the leaves and the, feeling like, just being proud, being proud to stand up and being proud to do what you need to do and having the ability to do it, more importantly. And, isn't that wonderful? Let me ask you, with hindsight, insight that you have, and some foresight, where do you think the industry is going, from today? Obviously, we're looking at some nice changes, hopefully this year, with the DEA rescheduling. And, where do you feel the industry is going, and where do you feel that, where do you feel people who want to get into this industry, that want to take some steps and really want to kind of, they may look at your bio and they may want to go ahead and emulate you in some way. How should they start, or what should they do?
I would definitely say that it first starts with the community. Going places where you're celebrated, not tolerated. I've witnessed a lot of folks in the industry try to get into spaces that had, a lot of opposition. And why would you, this is the community that you're going to serve. Why would you want to be in this contentious relationship with them? So I think if you're engaging and you talk to the community and you're very intentional about your actions, I think that speaks volumes. The other part of it is the authenticity. If you want to come into cannabis and, you're going to come with some BS, people are going to see it, and the consumers are starting to see it, and they're going to call it out. So I think the way to win in this space is to bring, what you do well, be authentic to yourself, and make sure that you're including the community in every aspect of this. I mean, we have thrived in just our brand development without even having a thriving facility yet. And our connection to the community is so thorough because they see me. We show up, we're there, we do the work. And I think that that's really the keys to success.
And I love the idea of community. I really love the idea of a consumption lounge. I think we should take over some of these buildings and make them eco-friendly, and build communities within the buildings. Because people may not like. You can't smoke anywhere in New York. outside without, I mean, you can't smoke in a building, you can only smoke outside, so why not do two things, go into the building, build community, and create something magnificent? And it sounds like that is something you're doing. And the education programs, if somebody wanted to get involved in one of your education programs, are they online as well?
So within our facility, we have a built-in educational center. So you can come in, and if you're shopping, say you wanted to come shop and you have a friend with you who's not a consumer, they can go hang out in that area and not feel awkward walking around all the weed. But they don't realize they're being educated in the process, that they're sitting in this area. We have a TV that has some educational content. We have some reading material, a nice, Instagrammable wall. So we really are trying to get people interested in it. In terms of my teaching, I teach at HCCC. It's called Hudson County Community College. Again, it's in Jersey City, so I want to connect. Yes, and their basketball team has been killing it.
They've been doing a good job.
Yes, shout out to St. Peter's. Jersey City is an amazing community. It's very diverse, and I feel like teaching at that institution also connects with the community that I resonate with. So just trying to continue to add value in all those arenas. And I would love for anybody out there, you guys want to come take the class. It's online too, so you don't have to be living in the city. I think as we start to develop this industry, degrees are going to be important, having master's degree, bachelor's degree, so that we can really build that leadership capacity that is lacking in this arena.
And how do people get a hold of you? What's your website, and or if they want to get more information on education and or visiting, the Sweat as well as the other side?
So you can follow us on all of our socials. My personal one is at BeastRod, BEAST.ROD. And then the other side, _worldwide. Those are our socials for Instagram. Our facilities are in Jersey City, so whether you want to come to the Cannabis Dispensary or you want to come take a yoga class, I would love to have you at a yoga class at Sweat. Please come check us out. We're in the Heights section, and LinkedIn. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk. I do a weekly blog on leadership and, women's leadership. So try to be engaging as much as possible. So please feel free to reach out.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Alyza Brevard-Rodriguez, for joining us today. Your journey is really a testament. It's a testament to resilience, to innovation, and to empowerment. So really appreciate you being in this world and doing the work you're doing as an LGBTQ woman who is powerful, who is proud, and is doing the work for other people as well. So thank you so much. So to our listeners, make sure you check out the Other Side Dispensary and Sweat Wellness. That's S04E112, Sweat Wellness, spelled a little different. And until the next time, stay mindful. This is Keith Fiveson at the CWCB Expo. Check it out. Thank you.